Let's be real, because the way certain KATSEYE fans behaved was never about opinions or standards. It was about discomfort, entitlement, and racism that people tried very hard to dress up as concern. When KATSEYE was announced as a global group, everyone acted enlightened. People celebrated diversity loudly, reposted statements about inclusion, and praised the idea of different cultures coming together. It looked good on timelines, it felt morally correct, but the second that global concept became real, the second it had actual faces and identities, the support stopped being unconditional. When Lara entered the picture, something shifted, not gradually, immediately. Suddenly, conversations that were supposed to be about music and performance started orbiting around her existence. She wasn't discussed the way other members were. She wasn't allowed to just be another trainee turned idol. She became a topic, a debate, a problem that fans felt entitled to solve. At first, it was subtle enough that people could pretend it wasn't happening. Comments about how she stood out too much, how she changed the group's vibe, how she didn't blend. Funny thing is, other members also stood out. Other members had strong visuals, distinct styles, different energies. For them, it was praised as uniqueness. For Lara, it was framed as disruption. That difference mattered. Then the fake nice fans arrived, and honestly, they did more damage than the openly hateful ones. These were the fans who smiled while tearing her down, the ones who started sentences with "I don't hate her" and ended them with reasons she supposedly didn't deserve her place. They talked about chemistry, cohesion, and long-term success, but somehow those conversations always circled back to Lara as the weak link. She was constantly compared to other members in ways that made her look lesser, even when the comparisons weren't fair or relevant. If another member had an average performance, it was a growth moment. If Lara had one, it was proof she wasn't ready. Openly hateful fans were louder and uglier. They didn't bother pretending. Racist jokes started circulating. Stereotypes were thrown around casually, like punchlines instead of prejudice. Her ethnicity became something people felt comfortable bringing up in arguments that had nothing to do with talent. Some fans mocked her looks in racially coded ways. Others openly said the group would be better without her, like she was an accessory that could be removed if enough people complained. That level of cruelty didn't come out of nowhere. It was built on the groundwork fake nice fans laid by normalizing the idea that Lara was the problem. Performance discussions became obsessive. Clips of Lara were slowed down, zoomed in, reposted endlessly. A missed beat, a neutral expression, a moment that would be ignored in any other member suddenly became evidence. People kept score. They made lists. They treated her like she was constantly on trial. Meanwhile, similar moments from other members were excused instantly. Fans talked about pressure, nerves, adjustment periods. Grace was given freely, just not to her. And yes, other members faced criticism too. That's normal in idol culture. No one is denying that. But the tone was different. The language was different. When other members struggled, fans defended them as humans learning in a demanding industry. When Lara struggled, or even when she didn't, the narrative shifted to whether she deserved to be there at all. That's not normal scrutiny. That's targeted. What made everything worse was the silence. So many fans saw what was happening and chose comfort over accountability. They didn't want to argue with mutuals. They didn't want to cause drama. They stayed quiet while racism hid behind fandom language. Silence didn't make things calmer. It made the harassment safer to continue. Through all of this, Lara stayed professional. She didn't fight back publicly. She didn't post emotional statements. She didn't call anyone out. And instead of that restraint being respected, it was exploited. People took her silence as proof that it wasn't that bad, as if idols are free to react honestly without consequences, as if contracts, pressure, and survival don't exist. The irony of it all is painful. Fans who proudly call themselves progressive, global-minded, and inclusive completely failed when inclusion stopped being theoretical. They loved diversity until it challenged their personal biases. They wanted a global group, just not one that included identities they weren't comfortable seeing centered. Lara didn't divide the fandom. Racism did. Lara didn't weaken the group. Harassment did. She didn't take anyone's place. She earned hers the same way every other member did. The obsession with removing her says nothing about her ability and everything about the fandom's limits. Years from now, people will pretend they were always supportive. Fake nice fans will say they were misunderstood. Silent fans will say they didn't realize how serious it was. Openly hateful fans will disappear or rewrite their online history. But the pattern will still be there because the internet remembers what people try to forget. KATSEYE is a group, not a fan-owned project. Every member contributes to its identity, and targeting one member, especially in racially charged ways, exposes the hypocrisy behind the word fan. Being a fan is supposed to mean support, protection, and respect. What Lara got instead was racism dressed up as concern and hatred disguised as honesty. And that's the tea people don't like to sip because it reflects them back at themselves.